Hello. We'll talk today about the chosen ones, part 2 of the chosen ones. 1 Corinthians 1, verses 26 through 29 says this: For you see your calling, brothers, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world, and the things which are despised, God has chosen, and the things which are not, to bring to nothing the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. We began to talk about being chosen by God. Remember, the Lord said, "You do not choose me, but I have chosen you." And we saw how not many mighty or noble or strong, not many wise ones according to this world are chosen. But God chooses the weak things and the foolish things, the ones who are nothing in this world. But now we begin to wonder, what if you are wise according to this world? What if you are kind of somebody important in this world? What if you have a kind of a strength in this world? What if you are something by this world's standards? What then? Well, then maybe you're like Paul. Paul was gifted with a kind of religious importance in Israel before he was a believer. He was considered to be intelligent and wise, at least in the religious culture of Israel. He was noble there. He was considered important there. Remember, he was known to be a Pharisee of the Pharisees. He was considered to be great among the Jewish leaders. So what if you are like that? Well, then the Lord will have to take some special measures to protect you from your pride, to help you understand your weakness. If you're like Paul, a man of unusual revelation, then the Lord may have to apply some special touches to your life in order to keep you safe and humble. The Lord may have to take some special action to protect you so that you can be useful to him. 2 Corinthians 12, verses 7 to 10, Paul talks about that, and he says this: And lest I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelations, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I be exalted above measure. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. And he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So wow, Paul says, in order to keep me from experiencing too much pride, a thorn in the flesh was given to me. Something uncomfortable was put into my life to protect me from pride. A thorn in the flesh was given to me, given like a gift. It says given, like a gift, a present that would be good for me, or maybe given like a needed medicine. Even though the medicine tastes bad, it's a cure for the sickness, right? So this thorn also, seems to be described in a couple of contradictory ways. It's described as something that is given to him in order to help him, to rescue him from falling victim to his own pride, something which ultimately comes from God, this kind of rescue. But at the same time, it's being described as something which comes as a messenger from Satan. So it looks like this thorn, whatever it is coming from God through Satan to Paul's life in order to help him by buffeting him or by beating him so that pride doesn't overcome him. This is not a comfortable thing in Paul's life. It's a very uncomfortable thing. It's described as a thorn, which you've ever experienced being stabbed by thorns, you wouldn't believe the pain. And it's also described as something that buffets Paul. And the word for buffet here in the Greek means to punch with the fist. So how can something come to your life from both God and Satan at the same time? Well, look at Joseph's life. He was sold by his brothers into slavery. And once he's reunited and reconciled with his brothers many years later, he speaks to his brothers, and amazingly, he's not angry with them at all. Because even though they did evil to him, Joseph understood that the hand of God was really behind it all. Joseph understands that God is so powerful and so much smarter than men or Satan that he can use their actions for his own reasons. So in Genesis 50, verses 19 to 21, Joseph speaking to his brothers, and Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now therefore, do not be afraid. I'll provide for you and your little ones." And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So you see, in Joseph's life, there was an evil intention by his brothers to do him harm, and God used that evil intention of his brother's life to bring about good in Joseph's life. And so this can happen in us, in our lives, right? You remember Job's life, of course, right? How Satan wanted to hurt Job in so many different ways, and God gave Job limited permission to do things, gave Satan limited permission to do things in Job's life that would end up serving God's purpose to help Job. So it is possible for God to use Satan in a believer's life. Satan has only one purpose, of course, and that is to hurt and to kill, to destroy. But God works behind the scenes on an even deeper level, using Satan's bad intentions to bring about something good in the lives of his people. Paul tells us that 3 times he begged the Lord to take this thorn away from him, but the Lord permitted the thorn to stay. And the Lord told Paul this. He says, "My grace is enough for you. It's sufficient for you, because my strength is made perfect in weakness. My strength is made perfect in your weakness," in other words, right? Meaning, you'll be able to endure this thorn. I'm going to help you, because this thorn is truly helping you. If I remove the thorn, pride will take you. But don't worry, I'm going to help you to endure it. And so Paul says, "I will therefore celebrate this weakness, because this weakness, this thorn, this pain, it's keeping me right with God. It keeps me in a weakened place, which keeps me humble, which keeps me seeking his strength." If I didn't have this thorn, then I would mistakenly think that I was something special because of all these revelations. I would think that I was strong, but now, because of this thorn, I know that I'm weak. And now I know how much I need the Lord. So thank God for this thorn, which reveals to me my great weakness and my great need for God. So God's strength is made perfect in weakness. So the thorn is a blessing and a benefit in Paul's life. So if you don't have an understanding of your weakness, then in order to help you, the Lord may have to create in you an understanding of your weakness. In order to create this understanding in you, he may have to arrange circumstances in your life which may be uncomfortable. He may allow some messenger to come into your life, and this messenger may come with bad intentions, but ultimately the Lord will use this to bring about good in your life. So it's important that we understand who we are and who God is, right? He is the great one. We are the small ones. He is the wise one. We by nature are unwise and unknowing. We know nothing. He is the noble one. We are the common, ordinary ones. He's the mighty one, and we are the weak ones. It's important that we keep a good understanding of our weakness, and it's important that we keep a good understanding of where our strength comes from. There's several important reasons for this, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons before we finish here. 3 reasons why it's important for you to know where your strength comes from. 3 reasons why it's important for you to remember your weakness. The first reason is this. It's only the weak who receive an infusion of God's strength. The Lord says, "My strength is made perfect in weakness." So it's only the ones who understand their weakness who can receive this strength from God. Isaiah 40, verses 29 to 31 describes it very well. It says this, "He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youth shall fail and faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint." So who does God give power to? Who does he give extra strength to? The weak, to those who have no might. In verse 30 there in Isaiah 40, the Lord says that even the strongest among you, the youth, the physically vigorous ones, even they grow weary and they faint and they get weak. But I give strength, he says. I renew your strength so that you can do more than you ever could without me. God can make you fly like eagles, but only if you understand your weakness. Isaiah 40 verse 29 says, "I give power to the weak, to those who have no might of their own." It's only the weak who get this infusion of God's power. It's only the weak who have access to this supernatural strength. As long as you hold on to your own strength, you remain spiritually weak. As long as you keep trying to do things in your own strength, then the strength of God is not available to you. He says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. So you can either confess your weakness and stop trying to use your own strength, or, because if you are chosen by God, because he loves you, then he'll create circumstances which will demonstrate your weaknesses to you. And so because he loves you, he will do this, right? A second reason why you need to keep an understanding of your weakness and where your strength really comes from is that it is only the weak who have the ability to function in real ministry. Only the weak can function in real ministry. 1 Corinthians 2 verses 1 through 5 says this, and I, brothers, when I came to you, I did not come with excellence of speech or of wisdom, declaring to you the testimony of God, for I determined not to know anything among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. I was with you in weakness, in fear and much trembling, and my speech and my preaching were not with persuasive words of human wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not be in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So these verses in 1 Corinthians 2 are so profound. They show us the kind of damage that can come to people when the ones who are ministering to them are ministering from a place of pride. They're ministering from their own natural abilities instead of ministering with the power of God. Because a person can easily do that. A person can very easily do that. A person who's ministering can easily take the easy way, the lazy way, and minister just from their own reserves of strength and knowledge and personality. And look at the results. The faith of the ones being ministered to comes to rest on the wisdom of men, on the gift of that person, instead of in the power of God. So if you dare to minister from your own strength, from your own ability, you'll move people's faith off of God and onto your wisdom and onto your strength. And you don't want to do that. Paul said, I did not dare to do this. I did not come to you with human wisdom, declaring to you the things of God. No, but I spoke to you of Jesus Christ and him crucified. Paul says, I ministered from weakness. I ministered from fear and trembling, needing God's strength every step of the way. I ministered to you, not daring to minister from my own desires and wishes and plans and strengths. And Paul says, he ministered this way because if he didn't, then the people's faith would rest in the wrong thing, in his wisdom and in his gifts. Do you see that? And the third reason why you must understand your weakness and understand where your strength comes from is that it is only the weak who will survive the judgment of God. Ezekiel 34:16 says this, I will seek what was lost and bring back what was driven away. I will bind up the broken and strengthen what was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong and feed them in judgment. It's the broken who will receive the eternal healing. It's the weak who will receive peace and comfort. But the fat and the strong, the ones who refuse the strength that comes from God because they trust in their own strength, they will face judgment. So remember, 1 Corinthians 1:26-29 says this, for you see your calling, brothers, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world and the things which are despised God has chosen, and the things which are not, to bring to nothing the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. So most of us who are chosen by God are from among the foolish things. We're from the weak things. We're the base things. Most of us who are chosen by God are the ones who are nothing in this world. But if there should be some pride in you that keeps you from understanding your weakness, that keeps you from seeing yourself as from among this group of people, then just wait. If you're chosen by God, then the Lord will help you to see your weakness. He'll help you to fight against this pride you have. And even if it takes a thorn in your flesh, whatever it takes, he'll do. God bless you guys. See you soon.